Hi everyone and welcome to Priority Holder. Today we'll be playing blue-white birds in the Explorer format. Now you may be asking yourself, why are we playing birds? I don't know why we're playing birds, we're just playing them. There's honestly not a lot of tribal synergies pulling this together. The only true tribal card in the deck is Animal Sanctuary. It allows this to activate and put counters on birds. The other payoffs we have, like our Lord effects like Empyrean Eagle and Favorable Winds, they only care about flying creatures. So it is very possible to ditch the animal sanctuaries and just put the most powerful flyers in this kind of shell. But we're sticking with the birds, we're loyal to them. Other flying payoffs we have are Winged Words. It can be a 2-mana draw 2, which is very powerful. And as far as the creature base, the only non-bird is Skycat Sovereign, but it gets a pass because it can activate and create catbirds. I mean, look at them. And it also can become a very large creature as it gets anthemed by all the other flyers that we have. The most powerful bird in our deck is Ledger Shredder. This is making a splash in formats across Magic, and it's good here. We have a lot of cheap spells to trigger it on our turn with second spells, so it's on plan. It's also good and helps us pitch cards that are not good in the matchup. Rounding out the rest of the birds, we got Battlefield Raptors, Healer's Hawks. These actually saw some standard play, so they have a little bit of pedigree. The lifelink is nice. Silver Raven, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit to get the 1-drops. 4 Spell Pierces to help protect the birds. And our interaction suite is very light, but we have March of Otherworldly Light is a little bit of interaction, and March of Swirling Miss, which can work on offense and defense. So that's what we have going in the main deck. The rest of the lands are a little bit of utility and some colors. Also trying to get our colors to work. We do not use the sideboard in this deck, but here I have a bunch of cards that I considered, or that could be considered. God's Willing as the way to protect our creatures. Rustwing Falcon if we needed to change the bird lineup a little bit. You could try and go like a real tempo Curious Obsession plan. I decided it was a little bit at odds with like our anthem effects, like trying to go wide, so didn't end up going for this. You'd also feel like you have to run a lot more counters to protect your creatures with this. Fading Hope is another possible cheap interaction piece. Slip Out the Back is a nifty card. It works on offense and defense, and the 1/1 counter is not nothing, so it helps your creatures survive a lot of situations, so it's something to think about. Lofty Denial, just a classic flying counter. This is probably one of the better birds that's not in the deck. Even Mind Sensor, just to consider, depending on how the metagame shakes out, might be a good inclusion. Early iterations of this, I played Sky Tether, sort of thematic, but there's a lot of nasty creatures with abilities that this doesn't shut down, so ended up not really liking it. Also doesn't do anything, it's planeswalkers and stuff. Frost Trickster's probably, anyway, you can see there's not a lot of good bird candidates to play. The best bird card that we're not playing is Alrune's Epiphany. I originally tried it, but it's just so far off the rest of our curve, it just doesn't really work. Even when we foretell it, it's nice to get the anthem effects out there and get the birds, but you'd have to really retool it to make this work. Not that it can't be done, but it had to be different than what we see here. A little bit of a change up. These games have been previously recorded, and I will be providing commentary after the fact. So let me know if you like this change or prefer the live commentary. But yeah, let's jump into the games. Alright, so this first hand looks pretty good. Just thinking about how to sequence the mana to make things work. And we definitely want to get turn 1 Healer's Hawk online. Unfortunately, we can't do turn 2 Winged Words. Okay, so realize right away that we're facing Angels, and that is a problem because it's a very strong deck, and we are very light interaction. So we just toss out another bird because of how our mana works, play the tap land. Okay, so they're off to a pretty killer start. Basically as ideal as they want it with Bishop of Wings. Okay, so we have some options here. We could try and like hold up March, but I decided to just go shields down to start pouring in the damage, send in the birds. Alright, so Giada is fine. Really glad it was not Righteous Valkyrie right there. So, this point, decide just to fire up Winged Words, see what we have going on. Play the land. March is very important here, so I'm trying to think of how to do it. Like, do I just shields down again and play a Skycat? But I really feel worried now that they have Giada out. Like, something's coming down next turn, some problem angel. And I'd really like to have March up. So I'd end up deciding just to play the Raptor and hold up March pitching something. This way we're threatening them with a lot. Okay, so the hunch came true. So Splendid Angel would come down, trigger Bishop of Wings to gain 4, which would trigger the Angel to make a 4/4, which would trigger Bishop to gain 4. So fortunately we have March up right now. So I can March. Pretty easy to pitch the Sovereign right here because the other March is probably going to be useful. So this March is so good. So it allows us to phase out both of those. So the Resplendent Angel doesn't pick up counters, doesn't trigger the life gain. It also makes him down a blocker. And we're in incredibly good shape right now. I realize that because of Animal Sanctuary, I can just send the birds in, and we'll see how they block first. Okay, so they block like that. So I go to activate Animal Sanctuary to make the trade, and they'd seen enough. All right, game 2. Bad hand, no creatures, so Mulligan seems decent. Just going over sequencing to think of which land to put back. Decided it's fine just to put the basic back. With things like Field of Ruin and Settle the Wreckage to keep the basics in the deck. White Source, Battlefield Raptor, go. Just one of the strongest starts in Explorer, you know. Okay, so then they drop Llanowar Elves. We can't do anything, but we have Spell Pierce up. Which turns out to be pretty nice, because we were very, very happy to counter a fight rigging here. Alright, not much else to do but slam the Empyrean Eagle and start attacking. Keep them under assault. So we're sort of running out of stuff to do. We have Hawk, but that's not that spectacular. Okay, so strangely enough, they just pull up Jingan. Oh no, that's Obosh, sorry. They pull up Obosh. Surprised didn't see, 6 or 7 power creature come down right there. So I think for a second realized I can just attack, and then we have the Ledger Shredder was a huge draw right here. So it allows us to lead with Ledger Shredder, play the Hawk to trigger it, holding the land just in case we get something better, which we do. So it's very good we held the land right there. So they're already in big trouble here. So skip past a bunch of priority paths. I'm not sure if they... Anyway, it seems like either they left or they rage quit. Something happened. So they burned through all their timers. We have 2 Lord effects going. Almost killed them right here. And then they're mega dead. So their timers run out and then they're gone. Game 3. An excellent hand, hoping to eventually get another land, but couldn't really ask for a much better hand than what we see here. Okay, so mono red. So I decided to shock in, go with the life linker, because that can just really counteract their plan a lot. It might draw out their burn spells as well, what I'm thinking. And they decide to just go light up the stage. Fortunately, you don't hit anything like super scary. I'm actually very happy they're using their Wizard's Lightning on the bird right now, because I have some much higher priority targets coming up. And I decided just to play Ledger Shredder here. They're playing lots of spells. There's a chance we just get some free triggers and it outgrows their burn, but they decide just to burn it down, which once again, that burn's not going at my face, so I'm very happy about that. And they're not really adding to the board, so we'll take that every time. Now there's plenty of options here. You can go 1-drop, Winged Words, or throw it on the Eagle. I decided it's probably better to throw a bunch of creatures out, then follow up with the Lord. And then there's a question which ones. Decide just to throw out the first Striker and the Sovereign. Really hoping to have the Sovereign outgrow their burn. So it's a little bit of a shields down moment right now. But they throw out Kumano. And Chandra. We're very happy that both of our creatures survive. Well, let's see. Yeah, so now we see they survive. And we'll happily take the damage. And this is going to show you right here the power of Skycat Sovereign. I'm just thinking through the turn, and I'm looking at and realizing, wait a second, I can just kill Chandra just to kill right now. If I throw down Silver Raven and the Empyrean Eagle, the Skycat just becomes massive. Definitely keep March of Otherworldly Light on top. That's going to be useful somehow. So this is very fortunate. The Skycat outgrows their burn and grows big enough to take down Chandra. So that was just a huge turn right there. I just it feels like we're stabilizing. Okay, so they play Viashino Pyromancer. I really love that card. I have good memories from M19 draft and that era standard. I like that card. So no attacks is good. I don't know why they're saying good game if they think that we're just dead to their onslaught next turn, or if they themselves are dead. It's curious, but this is an incredible draw right here that we got Winged Words. And I'm trying to think about attacks. I end up keeping the big creature back because it holds off a lot of their team. Now I don't just fire off the Winged Words here because I'm just a little scared about Embercleave. That could be the thing that turns the game around for the opponent. Even though we could have cast Winged Words and had like a march up for Den of the Bugbear, I was really more worried about Embercleave. Okay, so no Embercleave, no attacks at all. Deciding whether to cast March, but end up deciding that's fine. Is at this point we fire off Winged Words, and I was all just thinking survival mode. Then all of a sudden we draw favorable winds, cast it, and start doing some math and realize the opponent's just dead. That if we cast Battlefield Raptor, that'll boost the Skycat big enough to finish them off. The opponent seems to be realizing it. We have exactly lethal just to slam the door right now. And that's just how fast this you can turn things around, especially with Skycat Sovereign. Next game, have a decent hand. All right, lead on a white source, send out the Healer's Hawk. Just get that life gain going. Now I see that Shockland, and I'm worried about Thoughtseize, Fatal Push immediately. Decide it's going to be better to, in my mind, play Ledger Shredder, hold up Spell Pierce, but as you could probably see in the mana base, that's going to be a problem next turn. And I'm realizing that a little too late, that it might have been better to lead with the Shockland in order to have enough blue sources. So this is about where I realize can't hold up Spell Pierce. But Ledger Shredder's so powerful, send it out anyway and just get in with the bird. Now the life gain from Healer's Hawk is going to matter a lot. You can see with the favorable winds out there, you know, it's already doing work for us. All right, Thalia's Lieutenant is a major problem because that's going to really boost the Luminarch, so I can't even block it. And that signals a huge problem for later turns as it itself grows along with the Luminarch. So we just have a tap land, once again being messed up with the fact that I don't have an untapped blue source. So worried about that. Decide just to attack. And toss out the Raven. And we'll happily scry that land to the bottom. We were doing just fine with lands. And unfortunately, an untapped land would have been nice, because then we could have had March X equals 2 ready just to take care of the Luminarch Aspirant, and then we get punished right away by Acquisitions X. First, I was hoping that it would have X equals 1 on its ability as far as the party, but then realized they have 2 party members, so they're definitely taking March of Otherworldly Light away from us. It also is really seeming like they don't even care about Spell Pierce in their deck. Alright, we draw, we attack, gain some more life. Feeling pretty good because they haven't really demonstrated the ability to interact with our creatures. We have them dead on board. What can they produce? Alright, so they produce a Thalia and a Thalia's Lieutenant. So if we activates our Ledger Shredder, it would have been nice to get some interaction. Bunch of triggers happen. Luminarch's trigger happens. They attack, and we go to 1 life. The life from Healer's Hawk was exactly enough to save us to win this game. Next game. The hand's a little sketchy, but as soon as I see this, I'm already planning on a turn 3 Skycat protected by Spell Pierce. Now, Favorable Winds is really nice because that's going to give us a turn 2 play. So opponent leads with the Jund Triome and then a Blood Tide Harvester. So it could be any number of decks. It could be a Sacrifice deck. It could be just Jund good stuff, signaling a number of things. So I end up drawing Ledger Shredder and throwing that out there. I think that was a mistake. In my mind, I was already thinking so much that the Skycat was like the priority thing I need to protect. So I'm like, oh, a new turn 2 play. And so I threw out Ledger Shredder. But then I was like, wait, I think Ledger Shredder is actually even better than Skycat. And that would have been the good thing to protect on turn 3. opponent's thinking, and yeah, they just fatal push the Shredder. So they wisely played a land ahead of time, so they probably would have played around Spell Pierce anyway had we flipped things around, but that's just the way it happened. So we take another hit, and not feeling super good about the 1/1 Skycat, but we do have Spell Pierce, which feels better than nothing. Now this is not a Jund, like not usually used to seeing Rixmati Reveler in Explorer, so this is some combination they have going up, or they've come up with themselves. Then I see Fable the Mirror Breaker come on the stack, snap Spell Pierce that, feeling extremely good about that. That is helping us stave off defeat. Draw another land, but now is our window to drop favorable winds and keeping Spell Pierce up. And so, no, we're not going to block with it, so we just go ahead and attack. So that was a huge bullet dodged, being able to Spell Pierce Fable the Mirror Breaker. That just would have put us way far behind with an additional creature and all the value, eventually in 2 additional creatures. So now once you see Fable, their configuration starts making more sense, because Reflections of Kiki-Jiki works really well with the Blood Tithe Harvester and the Rixmati Reveler. I'm sure they have other Enter the Battlefield effects to really leverage the Flip Saga. And another one comes on the stack. Snap Spell Pierce that. 2 bullets dodged. Feeling pretty good at this point. Draw another land, but at least it's an Animal Sanctuary. The one reason we can call this bird tribal. So I decide to not attack and hold up the Sovereign's activation. So they attack with both. I activate it to create a cat, which is a bird cat, which is a lot more relevant because of favorable winds. So I'm really glad to see expensive removal being used here. Just takes up the whole turn. I have a 2/2 cat that can just trade with the Blood Tithe, just try and stay alive right here with all the pressure they're putting out. So we're in big trouble, and fortunately draw a creature. We draw a Healer's Hawk, which is incredible. The lifelink is exactly what the doctor ordered right now. Go ahead and play the land because we got Animal Sanctuary we want to activate. And I know I make a mistake right here. On my turn, when they were tapped out, should have activated Animal Sanctuary to just get that counter on there and dodge Bone Crusher Giant. So that was a big mistake. Let's see if it matters. Okay, so they thought Seize away. I could use it in response, but decide it's not a big deal. Now, opponent has been stuck on land, so they're fishing. Yeah, so they pitch a Chandra, trying to find some action. Find a land, but can't realize they can't attack through Animal Sanctuary activation. Our Healer's Hawk survived. Winged Words, which is super clutch. Draw 2. And find a creature land, which we're very happy to see. And a Spell Pierce. Go ahead and activate Animal Sanctuary. We want to maximize the life gain at this point. Attack in. And crucially have the Spell Pierce mana up. So that feels really good to gain that 4 life. And then we see Vraska go on the stack. Another Snap Spell Pierce. And the door is beginning to close on them. We draw March. We can just activate Cave of the Frost Dragon, which is getting boosted by favorable winds, and put them down to 4 life. So we have 2 lethal threats for them to deal with, plus March. So opponent thinks about it for a second, trying to see what their options are, and they are done. What you'll see now is a montage of me getting utterly destroyed with this deck before I went on this sweet run right here. Just wanted to make sure you had a realistic picture of this deck because it was feeling pretty grim before these games that just happened right here. And so this one was particularly tough. Almost came back from Grease Fane, sending Parhelion at us many turns ago. Just couldn't quite put the pieces together, and then they get another Grease Fang and finish us off. So went on a huge losing streak, then went on a huge winning streak. Okay, so that was Blue-White Bird Tribal. I was originally recording and just losing every single game. Lost the recording as well partway through. Cleared some memory, started up a new recording, and then went on this massive win streak that you just witnessed. So I'm glad I stuck with it. As far as the deck, I think there's potential here. I think there's some good things going on. The spell pierces feel really strong against like a lot of things. There's just a lot of relevant targets in different matchups. March of Otherworldly Light has been underwhelming for me. I don't like that it can't hit planeswalkers. We don't have a lot of white cards to pitch to it. We're more of a blue deck. However, March of Swirling Mist has been overperforming for me. As a fog effect, we need it to mess up our opponent's battlefield triggers, and as like a defensive spell for ourselves. So it may be better just to pull out the March of Otherworldly Lights and go up to the full 4 March of Swirling Mist. I don't know if we can pack more Animal Sanctuaries in there. It gives us a little bit more to do with our mana, but the colors can be really tough. Like if we're trying to hold up spell pierces and things, we draw too many animal Sanctuaries, it feels pretty bad. So, but yeah, let me know what you think. What are your favorite birds to play on Arena? I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great day.